Hello! Today I'd like to tell you about present continuous, which is one of the English tenses. Why is it called present and continuous? Well, first, it's called present because we are talking about now when we are using it. And it's called continuous because it's about an action which is in progress at the moment of speaking, which is now. Let's start by looking at some real-life examples. So here we are at a birthday party, me and my son Maris. He's sitting in my lap and eating cheese. I'm holding him and looking away. I'm wearing a black and white dress and black tights, as you can see in the picture. Here there are two girlfriends. They're holding each other close and eating pies. They're laughing and having a good time. They're enjoying each other's company. And let's look at another example. Here you can see a busy crossroads in New York. The cars are crossing the street, the pedestrians are crossing the street. There's a man riding a bicycle across the street. Lots of taxis are driving. A man is walking, a woman is walking across the street, a child is also walking across the street. So these were examples how to use present continuous. In this presentation you'll hear about the meaning of this tense, how to make positive and negative sentences, questions and answers, how to write this ing form correctly, and when do we use this tense, as well as what are the signal words for it. There will be some tasks for which you will need to prepare a pen and a notebook and stop the video whenever there is a task to really take the time to do it. So let's start by looking at the meaning. There are several meanings. We'll start with the first one and the most common one. It's about something that's going on at the moment of speaking. So if in the past I could say I woke up at 8 a.m. today, which is true, and I will go to bed around 11 p.m. today, which is also true, then at the moment I am giving a presentation to you. So this is the first meaning of present continuous, and it could be shown on the timeline with this arrow, something that's true at the moment of speaking. So what are you doing now? Take a moment to stop the presentation and write down what are you doing now. And when you're ready, let's check the answers. So you could have written something like, I'm learning English now, I'm sitting now, I'm reading and listening to this presentation now, or even something like, I am breathing now. Okay, let's go to the next meaning, which is about the larger period around now, not only about this very specific moment. So we can talk about this week, this month, and this year. About me, it could be I'm working a lot this year, and I didn't work so much last year, and probably I will work a lot next year as well. So here we're using this present continuous to talk about the longer period around now. What are you doing this month, this week, or this year that is different from other months, weeks, or years? Take a moment to write down the answer, and when you're ready, let's compare the possible answers. So you might have written, I am learning English this month, I'm being very active this week, or I'm being very lazy this week, I'm jogging a lot this year, or I'm dancing a lot this year, or I am watching TV a lot this year, whatever you are doing. And the third meaning is when present simple is used for future. So if in the past I woke up at 8 a.m. today, I'm giving a presentation now, I could also use present continuous to talk about future. I'm going to the circus next week, which is true as well. So it's something that's planned and arranged. I have already bought the tickets, I have invited my friends to come with me, and so it's all fixed in the future. What are you doing tomorrow? or at the weekend or next week. Please take a moment to write down your plans, which are fixed and arranged. When you're ready, let's compare the answers. So you might have written something like, I'm meeting my best friend tomorrow, I'm going to a birthday party at the weekend, I'm meeting a new client next week, and so on. Whatever you have written is correct for you, of course. Okay, so you might have noticed that there are two main components of present continuous, and the first one is this verb to be, which changes its form to am, is, or are. And the second one is, guess what? This ing ending, which is added to the verb. So read, reading, work, working, and so on. And then to make this sentence complete, we need to add who is doing. So it could be I, Tom, Tom and Jane, we, you, they. And of course there can be some additional information. So for example, I am reading an interesting book, Tom is reading an interesting book, Tom and Jane are reading an interesting book. Please notice that the form of the tense doesn't change depending on how long the sentence is and how much information we put into the sentence. It is still this present continuous if you're talking about now. There's a little trick how to remember this form, and I have called it a girl with a bag. So as we just noticed that there are these two parts, one is the verb to be, which is conjugated in am, is, are, and the other is this ing ending. So we could also say that there's a little girl Inga because of this ing ending, and she has a bag where she's carrying this am, is, and are. So every time you need to use both her name, ing, Inga, and one thing which you take out of this bag. So let's look at some examples. So one of the sentences is correct and the other one is not. Which of the sentences is correct? So if you guessed like this, then you're correct, because the second sentence uses is and ing ending, and the first one doesn't have it. So you have to have these two parts. You always have to have this Inga and something she takes out of her bag. One am, is, or are. Okay, let's look at positive sentences. Here's a little tip for you. So the order is as follows, as we already looked at it. Who is doing, then the verb to be, and then the ending. So please continue the list with other pronouns like I, you, he, she, and so on, and write down the correct form. And when you're ready, let's check the answers. So I'm reading, he's reading, she and it's the same, and we, you, they, it's with are. To make it visually simple for you, I've put it in a table so you can see that the forms are the same for he, she, it, and we, you, they. And the last form doesn't change. Okay, now take a moment to think of the short forms for positive sentences. And when you're ready, let's check the answers. So if you guessed like that, then you're correct. Here are the negative sentences. How could we form a negative sentence? Stop the presentation and think about that. And when you're ready, let's check the answers. So we just add this word not before the ing form. The negative sentences have a short form. Take a moment to think about it. So the first type of short form is to shorten this verb to be, and then it looks like this. And the other option that you could shorten is also this verb not. And then it looks like this. Notice that the form with I'm not reading doesn't change. So there we should still shorten the verb to be. Okay, so take a moment to think how to make questions in present continuous. When you're ready, let's go on. So to make the questions, you need to change places of these pronouns and the verb to be. So here's how to make questions. And if you have any kind of question words, what, where, why, then they go in front of these questions, like what am I reading, why are they reading, and so on. Then the questions can have short positive answers or short negative answers. Take a moment to think how to make these short positive answers, and when you're ready, let's check out the answers. So this will look like this. Notice that there is no short form. Yes, I am. Yes, he is, but not with a short form. Also notice that we do not repeat this verb plus ing. That's why they're called short answers. And then the short negative answers have two forms. Take a moment to think about them. And when you're ready, let's check them out. So here's the first option to shorten this verb to be. And here's the other one where we shorten this word not. Okay, let's go on. How to add this ending ing to the verbs correctly, because sometimes there are some spelling changes. And for you to understand this topic, you'll need to know some terms. So there are two types of sounds in English. First ones are called vowels, and these are the sounds like I, O, and the other ones are called consonants, and these are all the other sounds which are not vowel. And then there's another term you should know. These are syllables. These are parts of a word. So, for example, continue has 3 syllables, open has 2 syllables, and me has 1 syllable. Okay, here's a task for you. Look at these words and how they change when this ing ending is added, and try to group them into 4 different groups according to the changes which are taking place. And when you're ready, let's check the answers. So you should have come up with something like this. For the first group, there are no changes happening. We just simply add this ending ing. For the second group, we have to delete the letter E. And for the third group, there are changes happening. This IE ending is turning into Y. And the last group has a double consonant. Let's go through the spelling rules once again. So for most of the verbs, simply add this ending ing without changing anything in the word. When the verb ends with an E, delete it and then add this ending ing. The only exception here is the verb be. When the verb ends with IE, change it to Y before adding this ending ing. But be careful with the verbs which end in Y, they just retain this Y. So Y stays in place and you just simply add this ing ending. And the last 2 rules, which are a little bit tricky. The first one, when the verb is short, that is to say that it has 1 syllable and ends with a short vowel and a consonant, you have to double the final consonant before adding this ing ending. So be careful with that. as it only happens when the verb is short and ends with a short vowel and a consonant. So it will not happen in such verbs as dream, because the vowel is long, and jump, because there are two consonants. But in run and swim, this will take place. And the last rule is similar to the previous one. So when the verb is long, this means there are two or more syllables, and ends with a short vowel and a consonant, as it was in the rule number 4, you have to double the final consonant only if the last syllable is stressed. So stressed means that there is a bigger emphasis, it's louder, it's stronger. Like in these words begin, forget. There you need to double this final consonant. But in longer words, which have two or more syllables, for which the first syllable is stressed or stronger, you don't have to double the final consonant, so as in answer or open. So here's a task for you. Write the correct ing form of these verbs. And when you're ready, let's check the answers. Here are the answers. If you have any questions, you could also return these spelling rules. So when do we use present continuous? Please group the sentences into 3 groups according to the meaning. And when you're ready, let's go on. You should have come up with such groups: A with D, E with C, and B with F. Now think about the difference in meaning between these 3 groups. When you're ready, let's continue. These will be also the cases when we use present continuous. So, in the first case, these are things which are happening now, as they are watching a movie at the moment, and Veronica is talking on the phone now. In the second one, these are actions which are happening for a short period, or period around now. Tom is studying hard this month. Sarah and Jim are traveling a lot this year. And the third one is this future use, for something that's planned and arranged in the future. I'm meeting my cousin tomorrow, and we're going to the beach at the weekend. The first one can be also used to describe photos and pictures, like I did at the beginning of this presentation. Your next task is to look at these examples and find phrases or words which signal that you have to use present continuous. Please take a moment to do that. And when you're ready, let's check the correct answers. So in the first 2 sentences, these phrases are at the moment and now, which are synonyms. Then in the second one, these are the phrases this month and this year. And in the third one, these are the phrases which show that the action is going to take place in the future. So tomorrow and at the weekend. These little phrases are called the signal words, and they give you the green light for using present continuous in the sentence. So it's very useful to know them by heart. Actions happening now, these phrases are, as already said, now and at the moment, and also look and listen. Like, listen, somebody is coming. For action happening for a short period, these phrases are today, this week, month, year, these days, as George is staying with his parents this month. This is something that George is not normally doing, but this is something he's doing only this month. So it's not a long time action. And for future actions, these are any kind of phrases which refer to the future. Tomorrow, the weekend, next week, month, year. Alice is singing at her best friend's wedding next week. So this is something that's planned and arranged in the future. She has already arranged it with her best friend, and she knows what song she's going to sing and so on. So to sum up what we have discussed in this presentation, we have learned the form of present continuous, which consists of two main parts, this verb to be and the ing ending. Yes, it can help you to think of the girl with the bag. So you always have to have this Inga and something she takes out of her bag, am, is, or are. Then the spelling has several rules. For most of the verbs, nothing changes. For the verbs which end with E, you have to take it away. With verbs which end with I and E, it changes into Y. And with short verbs which end in a short vowel and a consonant, you have to double it. And with longer verbs, you only have to double in stressed syllables. And the meaning and use, the three most important uses and meanings of this tense, are as follows and can be illustrated by these different kinds of timelines. And the signal words help you see that you have to use present continuous and the meaning it has in the sentence. So thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, you are welcome to watch the video again as many times as it is needed for you. Consult Google or a grammar book or ask me. Okay, have a nice day. Goodbye.